It's 935 Katie, it's your girl Cece. Okay, so in the afternoon ride, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I found this guy on Instagram. I DM'd him. Not like that, but I DM'd him and I was like, yo, you gotta be on my show. And Brandon Maxwell said, yes, Cece, I got you. You are here. I'm so excited about this because I saw the trailer off of Brown Issues. Shout out to Brown Issues on Instagram. And it's called American Homeboy. The minute I saw the trailer, like, there was just something about the trailer that just hit my heart. And I immediately DM'd you when I saw it. And I just love the fact that it's exploring the Chicano American society. Can you talk about it and how this film came about?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to be here. It's been a long project in the works. We worked on it for about 3 years. And we restored a lot of archival footage, a lot of it that's never been seen. We restored it using AI and worked with a lot of different people, did a lot of different interviews over the past 3 years.
So it took 3 years to do this?
Yeah, I mean, for one, it costs a lot of money to make a documentary. You're dealing with licensing issues. You're trying to get everybody corralled into one place to be on board with the same project. And there's a lot of people in this film, and so getting everybody coordinated, it just took time. And so to make this project work, we had to have a lot of things kind of fall into our place, but patience pays off, and finally we're able to.
Brandon, what made you want to do this movie or this documentary, American Homeboy? Like, what made you want to do it?
Well, you know, for me, Chicano culture and Cholo culture to an extent has always been something that influenced me. You know, just growing up, it impacted me in a lot of different ways. And I've always wanted to help contextualize, I think, the culture for just regular people who see the culture in and out, but maybe they don't know a lot about it.
Right.
I thought it'd be good for the newer generation who they don't know a lot about the history necessarily. Maybe they know some of the aesthetics, but they don't know a lot about the history. And so I think when I got the chance to be able to raise some money to make the film, you know, that I just jumped all in. And so
what are
that's
some
what
of the issues that the documentary addresses for people that are watching right now? What are some of the issues that it's going to address?
Sure. So we don't address everything because there's so many different events that have happened in history. But what we try to do is give like an overview of about 100 years. So we talk about the Mexican-American War, the Mexican Revolution leading up into World War II, the Zoot Suit era, Sleepy Lagoon. We talk about the development of lowriding, how Zoot Suit culture goes and becomes kind of Cholo culture. We go up through the 70s and the 90s. We go into modern times. And so that's kind of the overview of the film. And we talk about the different events that played a role against the backdrop of the Chicano civil rights movement. So we talk a lot about the 1960s Chicano civil rights movement kind of there in the backdrop.
Right.
So you had a lot of different kind of movements that came out of World War II, right? You have like lowriding, you have Cholo culture, you have the 60s when you have the emergence of art and stuff like that. So you have these different tracks that all were born from the same era. And there's overlap sometimes. And so that's what we try to talk about in the film.
I saw that. Shout out to Esteban. Esteban's in the film.
Yeah.
So can you introduce us to some of the key individuals that are featured in American Homeboy? Because I was curious about the guy in the trailer that's like the grenade hit his eye. I'm like, who is that?
That's Charlie Trujillo. So he wrote the book Soldados in Vietnam. And he is a Vietnam veteran and Chicano. And he served in Vietnam and basically he was injured, you know, lost his eye in Vietnam and won a Purple Heart and was life flighted out of Vietnam and hung from a rope on a helicopter over the battlefield for like 3 hours. Yeah, he's got a crazy story.
Oh, my God.
And so we talked about that in the film a little bit, and he went on to become a professor and an activist. And so we have guys like him. I think one of the things that makes this film unique is that we were able to weave all the different perspectives and personalities from this subculture into one film. So we have guys like Charlie who have been in Vietnam.
Right.
We've got guys who've been in prison. We've got guys in academia and activism. We've got guys who are in gangs. Mm-hmm. And we kind of weave it all together to tell this same narrative. We even have law enforcement in there. You know, we have Richard, who's you know, he was a gang enforcement officer in the 70s in Compton, East LA. He's in the film. So we really touch on everything. And I think that's what makes this project special, was just getting everybody on one page. But you'd be surprised how excited everybody was, because everybody's like, we've been wanting to tell this story.
We want our story told.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that our stories are told more beautifully when it's through the lens of us. You know,
Sure.
we need somebody like us to tell our stories. And a lot of people don't address the Chicano, culture. How did you and Esteban, now I'm talking about Esteban Oriala, like how did you guys tap in together? Because he is very important to the culture. So I wasn't surprised to see him on here. I just was wondering, how did you guys link up?
Yeah, he's great. And he was easy to sit down with and speak with, and he is important to the culture, and he's been a huge champion of the culture and of lowriding and all types of things. So I was really excited to have him, and it was as simple as just reaching out to him and being like, hey, this is the project that we have going on.
That's how humble we are.
Would you be interested in taking part? And I mean, he was all ears.
He's amazing. He's been up here several times. We love him.
Yeah, he's very cool.
Can you speak about any particular moments or encounters during the film that actually led to a profound impact on you as a filmmaker while you were making this film?
There's lots of moments in the film that I think are very emotional. There's a part in the film where somebody breaks down crying. I think one of the things that is cool about this film is that, I sat down and did about 3 to 4 hour interviews with everybody in the film.
Oh, wow.
So we did more than 24 interviews over 3 years.
Your editing process is crazy.
Oh, it was 20 terabytes worth of footage.
Oh, my God.
And so, it was wild because I ended up editing it in 90 days, and because I was on a deadline, and the union editor wanted 9 months, so I just said, screw it, I'll do it myself. And I edited the trailer too, and so I still can't believe I edited it in 90 days because 20 terabytes worth of footage is a lot.
I mean, listen, it's downloading, it's importing, it's crazy.
Yeah, moving around all that footage was like the part that I underestimated. It took a lot of logistics to move around that much footage.
Let me ask you, because when I watched the trailer, there's a part in the trailer, and me and my friends have discussed it. I grew up, born and raised in LA.
Sure.
I grew up I'm a Chicana. I'm a proud Chicana. I grew up around, the Cholos. My dad was a gangbanger.
Yeah.
It's just what it was in that time, in that era. It's where we come from. But there's a snippet in there where they say chulo and it's cholo, and we're talking about, and we're like, well, is that how the term cholo came about? Was it chulo or was it everybody was questioning? My friends, we didn't know. We heard a little bit about that in the trailer.
That was Diego Vigil, I think, who was talking about that, and he kind of has his own ideas about where the word originated. We don't actually get into where the word originated because there's a lot of different opinions.
Right.
He kind of views it as solo, right? It came from that, operating kind of independently. There's other people who look at it as you were looked down on, as it's part of the caste system, and so it's a working class term either way, just like the word Chicano was, and I think it was used to denigrate people, and then ultimately it was kind of reclaimed and has become something that people proudly call themselves in a lot of ways. So
what do you want people to take away from this documentary?
This movie for me it's a love letter to Chicano culture in many ways. It's also been kind of a therapeutic for me because I was involved with gangs for a long time, and it's always been something that you can't really forget. But I knew so many people. The camaraderie is something I was never able to replace since. And, I fell in love with lowriding at an early age. My first car was a 67 Impala. I was rolling my lowrider at 15. I wasn't even old enough to drive yet, and I was rolling my lowrider. So I remember washing dishes in the back of the restaurant, saving up and buying my first Impala. So just the culture in general, I've always loved. And, I think people have such a huge misunderstanding of it. They think it's all gangs all bad. And there's just so much beauty to it, and I wanted to show that beauty, and I also did want to critique aspects of it because we talk about the gang element, and I think there is a central question posed: is can you have the culture and the beauty without the violence? And
that's kind of deep, Yeah. That's a real deep conversation to have.
Yeah, sometimes you can make the argument that maybe you can't have one or the other, or maybe you had to have the first to have the latter. But it is something that comes up in the film because it's unavoidable.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, we're in a different era than the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I think it's wonderful, because I get to meet so many great people who we probably wouldn't have gotten along 20 years ago.
Oh,
so
I love it. First of all, congratulations. I think what you're doing is amazing. Now, really quick, I'm going to say the date because we get to see the premiere soon, but it's actually going to be airing on Roku, on the Roku TV, and it's on Daily Chela TV, right?
Correct, yeah. So it's playing in select cities this month and next month, so about 10 cities right now. And then starting September 14th, you can watch it over Roku or iOS on the Daily Chela TV app.
Now, on the select cities, can they go to your Instagram? Are you going to post something so they can see where they can watch?
So they can go to AmericanHomeboy.com, or they can find me, Brandon Lauren Maxwell, online, and we have the dates posted also at Daily Chela.
And so after this, what's next for Brandon Maxwell? I feel like this is about to really change your life.
I don't know. We'll see.
I really believe that, Brandon.
I made it because I loved it. I didn't have a lot of expectations, so whatever happens, happens. I loved it, though. We'll see. I just launched that app, and then I made the movie, and I just wrote a screenplay, so maybe I'll get to make another movie. We'll see. I just want to talk about things that I love and represent a culture that I love. So
listen, the minute I saw that, I got so emotional. I was proud, and I hadn't even seen the documentary yet.
Thank you.
I was just so proud that we have a voice. It's so important as Latinos, especially Chicanos too, that we speak up and we utilize our platform. So this is why this was so important for you to be here.
Yeah.
LA is so diverse, but there's so many different types of Latinos.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to say, we talk about places outside of LA too, right? I mean, obviously you can't not talk about LA.
I get it.
But we talk about El Paso, and we got guys there from Arizona. We got guys there from San Jose. So we kind of try to cover as much of the area as we can in the Southwest, which is undeniably impacted and influenced by Mexican-American culture.
So can I ask you really quick before you did, your family, when they saw this, what did your family say?
They were excited. I mean,
so proud,
I think,
right?
well, yeah, most of my friends are excited. I'm really excited to have a lot of homeboys coming into the premiere tomorrow. And
are you nervous? Because you seem like you smooth.
I don't think I'm the type that gets flustered very easy. I think that, obviously I want people to like the film. Mm-hmm. We'll just see what happens. The chips just kind of have to fall where they're going to fall at this point. And if somebody decides they want to make a project too or cover a different event that we didn't cover, I'll support that project too. There's a lot of stories that can be told.
Oh, man, there it is right there. Make sure you guys follow him on Instagram. One more time, give your Instagram.
Brandon Lauren Maxwell.
And then, of course, Daily Chela TV on Roku. For me, it's going to be Roku, but you can also do it on the iOS as well.
Roku will be the best place to watch it.
September 14th. Mark your calendars. I'm your girl, Cece. Let's go.